Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching my video. I initially would like to thank everyone for, all the love I got from my previous video about OCPD. It was the first time that I posted anything on YouTube and I was kind of nervous. But anyway, so today I am here because, it is the beginning of October and September was month for suicide awareness. So I want to talk about something that nobody wants to talk, and that's suicide. So I'm wearing a shirt and it says, "Be the voice, stop suicide." And I got this shirt at the walk that we just did here in my area, that it was, to raise awareness with the American Foundation Against Suicide. So let's talk about, this problem. And it's something that we don't talk about so much, right? There's so much stigma, there's so much fear, so many misconceptions. And so how do we really know what's going on with these people? I think suicide is one of the hardest things that to talk about within mental health, because initially, so something interesting, we have the tendency of saying commit suicide. And when I was in training to be a crisis counselor, I learned something very interesting and I thought that made so much sense. So why do we say commit? Commit, when we use that word, usually we say commit a crime, right? And that was actually the case. So back in the days, suicide was actually considered illegal because according to some, religious tradition from way back in the past, you are not allowed to take your own life. And if you kill yourself, you will go to hell. Really? That's definitely not the right thing you want to tell someone, because shaming people that are considering suicide is probably not the best idea when they are already struggling with themselves. So nowadays we try to change a little bit of how we word this problem. So instead of saying commit suicide, I highly encourage you to say die by suicide. So and so died by suicide instead of say committed. And instead of using the word, oh, he had an unsuccessful attempt, usually what we just say is, they had a suicide attempt. Not successful or unsuccessful, because that's not something that we want to make them feel worse. Because I actually have counseled multiple people that have attempted suicide, and they told me, yeah, but it was unsuccessful and I can't even believe I'm not even good enough to take my own life. That's how they feel. So I try to cut that word off. If I talk about it, then I say, oh yeah, this person unfortunately died by suicide, or they had an attempt before. So I feel like that's already a very good way to cut some stigma off. Another thing that people are not very aware is that suicide is actually a leading cause of death in the United States. And it's the second leading cause of death within teenagers and young adults, I think, until the age of 35, I believe. But within the whole country, by all ages, I cannot remember if it's 5th or 10th leading cause of death. I am 100% sure that in the military, among active duty members, it is the first leading cause of death. I can tell you, here in Fort Hood, I hear so much stories, and it's pretty much every week there are multiple attempts. It is so sad, and no one talks about it. And so that's what I'm here to do. I am here to talk about this because no one else is willing to do that. And I mean, we already begin talking why people aren't willing to talk about it. And we can see the word commit, the origin of that word, of that term, oh, it's illegal, it's something bad. And also, you know, the religion, a lot of us are Christians, and it comes to the point where like only God's supposed to take your life. But and also because people say, oh, suicide is so selfish because you hurt others. While that is absolutely true that you do hurt others, I think it's kind of selfish for people say you're being selfish of considering suicide, because suicide is 100% preventable. And how do we prevent it? We support that person within what they need. If that person feels like they can no longer live life, that the pain that they're having is just unbearable at this point, I guarantee you that they have not been having these thoughts since last week when something happened. Maybe something happened last week and it exacerbated the issue to the point where they're like, I can no longer handle this. But it is something that builds with time. Okay, it's not something that just like, oh, today I'm not feeling well, I'm going to kill myself. Many people actually have tried to reach out and they never got support. They never got what they needed. Okay, and it's first of all, it's hard to open up about this. And I'm here to also share some of my experience counseling. I am not going to disclose anything that is private to every person that I've counseled, but I think just a general idea of what I learned with my experience, since I've been counseling for about a year and my expertise is on suicide prevention. So basically, someone who is thinking about suicide isn't going to come and tell you, I'm thinking about suicide. Maybe like someone would, I actually had people to come and tell me that, but most of the times they will give you signs. So what are those signs and how do we identify them? When I'm counseling, I look for words such as, I can't stand this anymore, I wish I was gone, the pain is unbearable, I don't want to be here, I'm not worthy, there's just no point, you know. So anything that sounds like they're losing hope, that they're losing faith, that they're just feeling like life is unbearable, like the pain has gotten to a point where they are emotionally exhausted and they feel like they cannot fight it on their own anymore. And first of all, what I want to say about the no longer be able to fight it on your own anymore is, in the United States, there is a very interesting individualistic culture. People want to be independent. People want to be individualistic. We hear all the time people saying, I'm antisocial, like that's something good. But if I tell you what antisocial personality disorder is, you're not going to use that word anymore. But anyway, maybe that's another video. So people see as if I can't do it on my own, then I'm weak. If I'm not independent, I'm weak, I'm not worthy, I have to do everything on my own. And I am here to tell you that no, that is absolutely not true. No one on planet Earth can go through a hard time emotionally and just keep going and going and going on their own. And the reason why that is because some people actually are very individualistic. There are some other personality disorders that make people not want to get involved with others. And why is this a disorder to begin with, right? Because we're humans. Humans are naturally social. Humans need others. And not only that, but we live in a society. And so for me to say that I can't look for help because I'm embarrassed, because other people are going to think I'm weak, because I can't do something independently, I think that's absolutely ridiculous. It is a stigma that we do not need, because like it is a society after all, and humans are always been animal packs, right? So there are animals that are all together, like dogs. Dogs are, pack animals. well, so are humans, right? Whatever you believe on, if it's in the Bible, if you believe in Adam and Eve, well, God created one and then he created the other. We can't live alone. That's my point. If you believe in the Big Bang Theory, or if you believe in, in the science tract, well, there wasn't just one person. They have tribes. They're not alone. So my whole point is, if you want to survive, you actually are going to need other people. We cannot live in a bubble anymore. Or ever. Not anymore. Nowadays it's easier to live on your bubble because the way that the market is, if you think about it, I mean, I have Amazon Prime 2 days, something's here, right? We have groceries delivered and whatnot. And so this thing of me needing to do everything on my own and the independent misconception is growing, and maybe that's what's creating people to have more and more attempts of suicide. Why do some people do it? Why some people feel like that is their only resort? And I noticed the pattern that I've seen from the people I've counseled to my background culture in the military is that these people are community oriented. I struggle a lot sometimes here in Texas because it is a very individualistic community here. And I'm community oriented. My definition of independence is you fighting for your dreams, you fighting for your well-being. It's you doing things for yourself, for the people that you love. If I ask an American what is independence, they're gonna think it's just being alone and doing everything without asking other people for help. To me, I'm community oriented, and I don't think that's independence. To me, that is antisocial. And there is a big stigma that says if you say the word suicide, it will actually put it in their minds. And I am here to tell you that is 100% a lie. It is a myth, and it's a bad myth. People that are thinking about suicide, it's not because they saw it somewhere. It's not because it's because they don't want to live anymore, because they are in pain. And the pain is just weighing down on their chest and they cannot handle it anymore. They can't breathe, they can't function, they feel like they can't trust anyone, they feel like their life, that pretty much their situation is just hopeless. They don't see another way out. Another thing about the American culture is it is very frowned upon when you perform self-care and when you love yourself. And I mean, to me, as a counselor and as someone who struggled with this, as someone who has family members who struggled, self-care is pretty much the way that you can get out of, depression and anxiety and whatnot. I noticed that a lot of people who are suicidal, they are community oriented. You notice that there's a pattern of people that feel like their reason for living is to serve others. And they forget to take care of themselves. In fact, that is something I did. When I was in nursing school, I forgot to take care of myself. But and it was something that I learned also in the nursing field. My professors told me to do that. It's kind of cool when you don't go to the bathroom for hours. And when you just start neglecting your own well-being, we're see humans as like vehicles. You need to have fuel to keep going. The sentence that I love is, you cannot take care of others if you don't take care of yourself. I tell that everyone who's struggling, parents especially, okay? You cannot take care of your kids if you don't take care of you first. Maybe you don't have motivation to do that for yourself right now. It is okay to take care of yourself because that will help you to take care of others. That is absolutely okay. How do we talk to someone that you think might be suicidal. So you identified some clues, right? Their person is saying something like, I don't want to be here anymore. There's nothing you can do for me. It's just pointless. I have no hope. Okay, what do you say? Do you ask them, are you thinking about hurting yourself or others? That is something that, usually doctors and psychologists and psychiatrists ask. That is not something I find very therapeutic. The thing I find more therapeutic is initially investigating how they're feeling. Yeah, you can see they're feeling hopeless, but, ask them why. What is going on? Show that you care. Because when that person is at that deep, dark well and they see no light, maybe you can be that light. They're hesitant. A lot of people are. A lot of people don't want to talk about it because of all the stigma that there is, So ask them, what is going on? And if they tell you, please do not, as an example, oh, I know what you're feeling. Oh, I've been through that. No, you don't know how they feel. And I'm already going to tell you that because we all have very different hearts. We all have very different brains. We're all very unique individuals. And you saying, I know how you feel, is not going to make that person be like, oh, okay, you know how I feel. Now I trust you. No, it's not. The best time, I often hear from the people that I counsel, especially teenagers, well, it's the first time someone understands how I feel. And what do? I validate their emotions. Oh, but they're suicidal. Yeah, well, you're validating their emotions. You're not validating the action that they're taking about their emotion. Those are two different things. Sometimes when I'm struggling, what I need is validation. And what validation does to me when someone validates me and says, wow, you're going through such a hard time. It's understandable that you being so much pain, such agony, like it must be so hard, to go through this and be alone and feel like there's no way out. That's validation. What that does to me is it makes me feel normal. It makes me feel not judged. It makes me feel like they heard me. Okay, so think about it that way. Maybe I don't want you to fix my situation. Maybe I do, but not now. Because for me, you have to build rapport with them first. You can't just expect to fix their problems. You can't just expect them to snap out of it just because you told them to do so. You need to, if you really care for that person, you need to dive in and try to understand why they're feeling that way. And when I say validation, isn't just to say the words I said. Actually feel them. Look at them in the eye and see their emotions. That's when I always say, genuinely do not try to fix. Genuinely only try to understand them. Maybe they just want to be understood. That is something I hear so much, especially from teenagers. They just want to be understood. That's all they want. Sometimes they want to feel like someone cares, because I wouldn't want to live my life thinking that no one cares about me. I want to feel like people care about me. I want to feel like people like me and that my emotions are valid, So in the suicidal issue, I think emotion validation is the key to having that person trust you. Well, I know you're struggling, but it's not the end of your life. Well, who are you to tell me that? It's clear that you don't know how I feel, because maybe I feel like it is. Maybe I feel like this is it. You don't know what I've been through in my past. Did you ask me? Did you care to ask exactly what I went through in order to be where I am today? That's why it's so important to kind of dive deep in to what this person, is experiencing, what they're feeling, and why they're feeling that way. It is not of you to tell them that their emotions are wrong. Emotions are never wrong. After you actually understood what they're feeling, then I highly recommend that you do kind of ask more about, or do you have any plans? Um, because I feel like it naturally comes when I'm validating when I'm truly listening to someone and I'm understanding why they're struggling and why they have so much pain. Um, it usually comes, they say, I can't handle this anymore. And then I ask them, okay, I see that you're just absolutely exhausted. Like your emotions are on empty, you have no energy to, keep fighting, but maybe we can fight together. And so we can link how real emotional pain is. When I'm feeling emotionally drained, I actually have pain on my neck, I have pain on my back, sometimes my legs feel heavy. It becomes so somatic, it becomes so physical. It is just on every inch of your body. That depression is just bringing you down and is just crushing you from the inside out. Um, so that's how you need to see them. You need to see them for what they're telling you. Oh my God, please listen to your teens. They know how they feel. You do not know how they feel. I often ask parents, did you forget what it feels like to be 13 years old? Like, you probably did, because that was a couple years ago. Oh, being a teenager isn't hard. Okay, like, you never did anything wrong when you were a teenager. Like, let's be real about teens, okay? Because people don't want to understand teenagers. They just think that they're annoying, that they're hormonal, that they misbehave and they want attention and all that stuff. Well, I was a teenager about 10 years ago. I was a teenager and it was hard. It was hard. I still remember that I had no power over my life, yet people wanted me to act like an adult. Um, but like, I was learning about myself. I was identifying who I was. Like, you're learning about your own identity. Your parents have these expectations of you, and then you have pressure at school, and you have pressures from your home, and like everyone wants you to be this person. You don't want to be that person, and you have different people to like look up to, and you don't know what you follow, if it's your heart, your friends, your family, your teachers. Like, it's confusing to be a teenager. It is confusing. At the moment that I feel like it's normal, not normal, but it's common at least to experience this, it brings me a sense of relief, because I'm like, oof, I'm a normal human being. There's nothing wrong with me. So I feel like that's what how a lot of people want to feel. Um, and that's how I want a lot of people who are struggling to understand. It's like, struggle is real. Emotional pain is real. Emotional pain is hard. It's hard to speak up. If you're suicidal, like, who do you talk to? Because I don't know who's actually going to hear my emotions. I don't know who's actually going to hear me and say, oh, you just want attention, or you're just whining. Um, oh, I've been through something similar. So do not tell someone that you know how they feel. Try to understand. Do your hardest to understand. But they will know when you know how they feel. You don't have to say that. That's something that needs to be shared with a vibe, with like an eye contact. Hey guys, so really quick, going over how to safety plan. After you know what their plan is for suicide, what you want to do is, in a very friendly and warm tone, to kind of have them agree with you to move the means of the plan out of sight. It could be somewhere in a different room of the house. At least put it up in a drawer or something. And then after that, you want to talk to them and ask what they would like to do or what they can do to kind of change their mindset, or, like get those thoughts out of the way, get those thoughts out of their head. And so anything that will keep their mind occupied, like drawing, going for a walk, writing a journal, listening to music, watching TV, and things like that, would be helpful. And what you want to work on at that moment is basically distraction. So, they can have the power, and you can just help them and guide them to kind of find the best coping mechanism. But that is definitely up to them, and you need to make sure it is something that they will follow through, so it is something that is effective for them. I hope that helps, and I will post also some suicide lines if you or someone you know is in need of help. Thank you so much for watching my video, and be safe for everyone. And just remember that your life is worthy, and you are worthy, and you are loved.